Welcome to Love Lies Chronicles.
I'd really appreciate your comment. It helps me understand if you enjoyed the story and how I can improve in future ones. My wife slammed her coffee mug down on the kitchen counter hard enough that I thought it might crack. It was 7:15 on a Thursday morning, and we were having the same argument we'd been having for 3 weeks straight. "I don't need permission to spend time with my friends," she snapped, her face flushed red. I looked up from my phone, keeping my voice level. "You're absolutely right. You don't need permission for anything anymore." Something in my tone made her pause, but only for a second. Then she grabbed her purse and stormed out to her car. I watched through the window as she sat in the driver's seat for a full minute, staring at the steering wheel, before finally backing out of the driveway. What she didn't know yet was that I meant every word. This whole mess had started about a month earlier when she began working late with her new project manager, Derek. At first, it seemed innocent enough. Late night at the office, working dinner with the team, strategy sessions that ran past midnight. She'd come home exhausted but energized, talking about how refreshing it was to work with someone who really understood her professional goals. Then the strategy sessions became just her and Derek. Then the work dinners became cocktails at that upscale bar downtown. Then she started coming home smelling like expensive cologne that definitely wasn't mine. The first time I asked about it, she'd laughed it off. "Derek? He's just a colleague. Don't be insecure." The second time I mentioned the late nights, she got defensive. "You don't understand workplace dynamics. This is networking." The third time, she accused me of being controlling. That's when I knew Derek wasn't the only problem. My wife had found herself an echo chamber. She'd always had girlfriends, normal friendships with women she'd known for years. But about 6 weeks ago, she'd started mentioning new names. Vanessa from her yoga class, Brittany from some Facebook group, Rachel from the wine bar she'd started frequenting. These weren't just friends. They were a support system for a version of my wife I didn't recognize. Vanessa was going through her third divorce and had started dating her personal trainer, who was 15 years younger. Brittany had 2 kids with different fathers and was currently fighting both for more child support while complaining about being broke. Rachel worked in HR and had been written up twice for inappropriate relationships with subordinates, but blamed workplace jealousy. These were the women giving my wife advice about our marriage. You know what Vanessa said? My wife had told me 2 weeks ago, her eyes bright with vindication. She said any man who questions where his wife is going after work is showing controlling behavior. That it's a red flag. "I wasn't questioning where you were going," I'd replied. "I was asking if you wanted me to save you dinner since you'd be late." Same thing. It wasn't the same thing. But I was learning that logic didn't matter anymore. She'd found people who validated every impulse, every defensive reaction, every excuse. And she was drinking it in like water in a desert. The breaking point came last Tuesday night. I'd gotten home from work at my normal time, around 6:30, and started making dinner. By 8 o'clock, she still wasn't home. No text, no call, nothing. I tried her cell. It went to voicemail. At 9:45, she finally walked through the door, makeup slightly smudged, hair disheveled, laughing at something on her phone. "Where were you?" I asked, and I could hear the edge in my own voice. She looked up like she was surprised to see me. "Out with Vanessa and Rachel. We went to that new rooftop bar after work." "For 5 hours? Oh my God, here we go?" "Yes, for 5 hours. We were having fun." "Remember fun?" "I remember you being married. I remember you considering your husband's feelings when you disappear for an entire evening without a word." That's when she'd set her purse down very deliberately and crossed her arms. "I think we need to establish some boundaries." I agree completely. I'm an adult. I have friends. I have a career. And I don't need to check in with you like I'm asking permission to live my life. I'd taken a breath, chosen my words carefully. "I'm not asking you to check in. I'm asking you to communicate. There's a difference between partnership and permission. That's just semantics. You want control. I want respect." She'd stared at me for a long moment. "Vanessa said you'd twist it like this. Make it about respect when really it's about control." And that's when I knew. Vanessa, who'd burned through 3 marriages. Vanessa, who'd given up on making relationships work and decided everyone else should too. That was my wife's relationship counselor now. "You're right," I'd said finally. "Your friendships are your choice. Your schedule is your choice. Your life is your choice." She'd blinked, clearly expecting more of a fight. "Thank you." Finally. "But choices have consequences. And I get to make my choices too." What's that supposed to mean? It means if you want to live like you're single, I'm not going to stop you. The next morning, that Thursday morning when she slammed her coffee mug down, was when she announced her girls' weekend. She'd already requested Friday off work, already booked her spot at some spa resort upstate with Vanessa, Brittany, and Rachel. Friday through Sunday. 3 days. I'm going, and you don't get a say, she declared, expecting an argument. Have fun, I'd replied, and that's when she slammed the mug. After she left for work, I sat in the quiet kitchen for exactly 5 minutes. Then I called my office and requested Friday off. After that, I called the best family law attorney in our city. The consultation was scheduled for Friday morning at 9 a.m. Thursday at work, I couldn't focus. I kept thinking about the woman I'd married 6 years ago. She'd been ambitious but grounded, independent but considerate, confident but not reckless. The woman who came home at 9:45 p.m. with smudged makeup and no apology wasn't her. Or maybe it was her. Maybe I'd just been too in love to see it. My phone buzzed around 2 p.m. A text from her, working late again tonight. Don't wait up. I didn't respond. Instead, I logged into our joint credit card account, something I hadn't checked in months. The recent charges told their own story. The rooftop bar, multiple times. Expensive lunches at that steakhouse downtown. A charge from a boutique hotel dated 3 weeks ago, middle of a work day, for 4 hours. I screenshot everything. That evening, she got home around 10 o'clock. I was on the couch reading when she walked in, humming some song I didn't recognize. Good day? I asked. Great day? We finalized the plans for this weekend. You should see the resort. Absolutely beautiful. Spa, pool, restaurant, and a nightclub on the property. Nightclub? Yeah, adults-only resort. No kids allowed. Very exclusive. Sounds expensive. She kicked off her heels. It is, but I deserve it. When's the last time I did something just for me? I thought about the boutique hotel charge, the mysterious late nights, the wardrobe that had gotten noticeably more expensive in recent weeks. But I kept my mouth shut. You're right, I said. Everyone should do things that make them happy. She studied my face, trying to figure out if I was being sarcastic. When she didn't find what she was looking for, she seemed almost disappointed. I'm glad you're finally understanding, she said. Vanessa said you'd either get it or you wouldn't. Looks like you get it. Oh, I get it. Friday morning, she was packed and ready by 7 a.m. I'd never seen her so excited about anything in months. New luggage, new clothes, fresh manicure. She looked like she was going on a honeymoon. Just not with me. You're sure you're okay with this? She asked, one last fishing attempt for the fight she wanted. Completely okay. You need this time with your friends. What are you going to do all weekend? I smiled. I've got plans. Nothing exciting. Just some personal time. Personal time for what? Personal choices, remember? All mine. She frowned, but her phone buzzed before she could press further. Vanessa was outside. Have a great weekend, I said, kissing her cheek. Make good choices. I always do, she said, and walked out the door. I waited until her car was out of sight. Then I grabbed my laptop and headed to my attorney's office. The consultation took 2 hours. Richard Chun was in his 50s, calm and methodical, and he listened without interrupting while I laid out everything. The late nights, the defensive behavior, the hotel charge, the constant erasure of boundaries under the guise of independence. Do you think she's having an affair? He asked. I think she's auditioning for one, and I think she's getting coaching from people who want her to. That's not grounds for fault divorce in this state, but it establishes a pattern. Combined with the financial evidence of separate recreation and the documented communication gaps, we can build a strong case for irreconcilable differences. How long does it take? If she contests, 6 months to a year. If she doesn't, we can finalize in 90 days. Let's start the paperwork. By noon, I'd signed retainer agreements and provided everything Richard needed to draft the initial filing. He said he'd have papers ready by Monday morning. We agreed to wait until she returned to serve them. I wanted her to have her perfect weekend. One last moment of freedom before reality arrived. Saturday morning, my phone lit up with her first post. A photo of all 4 women by the resort pool, cocktails in hand, caption reading, "Finally free to just be. No apologies, no permission, no limits." The comments section was full of encouragement. Yes, Queen, you deserve this. Living your best life. I screenshot it and sent it to Richard. Around 2 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? Is this her husband? The voice was male, young, and slightly drunk despite the early hour. Who is this? Look, man, I thought you should know. Your wife is here at the pool bar, and she's been telling everyone she's separated. Said you two are basically roommates waiting for the lease to end. Something cold settled in my chest. And you are? Just a guy who doesn't like liars. She's been pretty friendly, if you know what I mean. Buying drinks, giving out her number. Figured you should know what you're dealing with. I appreciate it. Also, she's not wearing her ring. Just thought that was relevant. He hung up before I could respond. I sat on my couch for a long time, staring at my own wedding ring. Then I took it off and set it on the coffee table. Saturday evening brought more posts. Dinner photos at the resort restaurant. Her and Vanessa dancing. A selfie with 3 men in the background, clearly part of whatever conversation they were having. And in every single photo, her left hand was conspicuously bare. Sunday morning, nothing. No posts, no texts, complete radio silence. For someone who'd been documenting every moment of her freedom weekend, the sudden quiet was telling. I used the time productively, packed 2 suitcases with my essentials, and loaded them in my truck. Transferred half our savings into a new individual account I'd opened Friday afternoon. Took photos of every room in our house, every appliance, every piece of furniture. Created an inventory. Then I wrote a letter. Not angry, not emotional, just clear. By the time you read this, you'll have realized I'm not here. I want you to understand that this isn't punishment. This is me respecting your choices. You wanted independence from my opinions, my concerns, and my presence. You wanted to make decisions without considering a partner's feelings. You wanted to live without permission. Congratulations. You got everything you asked for. The divorce papers will be served Monday morning. I've already met with an attorney, provided documentation of your separate life, and initiated proceedings. Our accounts are separated, my belongings are removed, and I've found other accommodation. You told strangers this weekend that we were separated and basically roommates. I'm just making your story true. Your friends were right about one thing. You deserve someone who supports your choices. And you deserve the consequences of those choices. I hope your weekend was worth it. I left it on the kitchen table with my wedding ring beside it. By 4 p.m., I was at my brother's house, explaining the situation over a beer in his garage. You're really doing this? Marcus asked. She wanted to discover who she is without her husband's influence. I'm giving her that opportunity. That's cold, man. I showed him the screenshots. The posts about being free. The photos without her ring. The call from the stranger. She spent the weekend pretending to be single, I said. I'm just making the pretense real. What if she didn't mean it like that? Then she should have thought about how it looked before she did it. Actions matter more than intentions. Sunday night, my phone exploded. 12 missed calls from her number. Then texts started coming from other numbers. Vanessa's, Brittany's, even Rachel's. All saying I needed to call her back, that she was freaking out, that there must be some misunderstanding. I blocked all of them. The final text came from her at 11:47 p.m. Please. I'm coming home early. We need to talk. This is insane. I texted back from a new Google Voice number I'd created. Check the kitchen table. Everything you need to know is there. Your independence starts now. Then I turned off my phone and went to bed. Monday morning at 8 a.m., I was back in Richard's office signing the final filing papers. The petition for divorce was ready, professionally typed, citing irreconcilable differences and requesting equitable distribution of assets. You're sure? Richard asked one last time. Once we file, this becomes public record. File it. By 10 a.m., she'd been served at her office. By 10:15, Marcus called me from his work. Dude, she just showed up at your house. She's losing it. Banging on the door, looking in windows. Let her look. She found the spare key. She's inside now. The letter is on the kitchen table. She'll find it. At 11:30, my phone rang. Her number. I answered on the 4th ring. What the hell is this? Her voice was raw, devastated. What kind of sick joke? It's not a joke. It's exactly what you wanted. I never wanted a divorce. Really? Because you spent the weekend telling strangers you were separated. You took off your wedding ring. You acted like a single woman. I'm just making your performance official. I was just having fun. It didn't mean anything. Having fun pretending to be single. Having fun lying about our relationship. Having fun buying drinks for other men while telling them I was basically your roommate. Silence. Then, quietly, who told you that? Does it matter? You made your choices publicly. Now you get to own them publicly. This is insane. You can't divorce me over one weekend. I'm not divorcing you over one weekend. I'm divorcing you over a month of late nights with Derek, 3 weeks of letting your toxic friends destroy your judgment, and one weekend that proved you'd already checked out of this marriage. The weekend was just the reveal. I wasn't cheating. You were auditioning. And honestly, that's worse. That means you were keeping me around as a backup while you figured out your options. I could hear her crying through the phone. Please, we can go to counseling. We can fix this. Fix what? You told me I had no right to judge your choices. You were right. But I also have no obligation to stay married to someone who treats marriage like it's optional. Where are you staying? That's a personal choice. Don't do this. Don't throw away 6 years over one mistake. You threw it away when you decided I was controlling for caring about my wife's safety and well-being. When you prioritized the opinions of divorced, drama-addicted strangers over your husband. When you spent a weekend pretending we didn't exist. What am I supposed to tell people? Tell them the truth. Tell them you chose your friend's advice over your marriage, and your husband chose to respect that decision. I hung up. Tuesday brought a new wave. Not just her, but her entire support system descended on my brother's house at 7:30 a.m. Vanessa, Brittany, and Rachel, all 3 marching up the driveway like they were staging an intervention. Marcus opened the door before I could stop him. We need to talk to him, Vanessa announced, pushing past into the living room. This is absolutely ridiculous. I came downstairs slowly. Ladies, to what do I owe the pleasure? You know exactly why we're here, Vanessa snapped. She's devastated. You're blowing this completely out of proportion. Am I? Tell me, what exactly happened this weekend? They exchanged glances. Brittany spoke up. She went on a girls' trip with friends. That's not grounds for divorce. You're right. A girls' trip isn't grounds for divorce. But lying to strangers about being separated is. Taking off your wedding ring is. Buying drinks for other men while pretending to be single is. Rachel's face went pale. She was just having fun. Interesting definition of fun. What would you call it if your partner did that? That's different. How? Vanessa jumped back in. She's been dealing with your controlling behavior for months. She deserved to let loose. Controlling behavior, I repeated. You mean asking where she was going at 10 p.m.? Or asking her to communicate when she'd be home? Or noticing she started coming home smelling like another man's cologne? You're twisting everything. I pulled out my phone. Let me show you something. These are screenshots from your book club group. The one where you all discuss your relationship problems. I'd found the private Facebook group Saturday morning. Took me about 15 minutes. Amazing what people share when they think they're in a safe space. Here's a post from Vanessa. Finally convinced my friend to stop asking her husband for permission to live her life. Taking her to the resort this weekend to show her what freedom feels like. Vanessa's face went red. And here's one from Rachel. My coworker is so brainwashed by her husband. But we're working on her. By the end of this weekend, she'll see she doesn't need him. You were stalking our private group? You made it public. Anyone can join. I just clicked request to join and got approved by one of your 200 members. I turned to Brittany. And here's my favorite. Your post from Friday night. Operation Freedom is in full effect. She's already talking to guys at the bar. The ring is off. Success. With 3 flame emojis. The room went completely silent. So let me ask you something. I continued. Were you helping my wife, or were you destroying my marriage for entertainment? We were helping her find herself, Vanessa said weakly. You were helping her become you. And congratulations, it worked. Now she gets to experience everything you ladies have. The divorce, the drama, the loneliness, the regret. You're being cruel, Rachel said. I'm being honest. You spent weeks poisoning her against me because misery loves company. You wanted her to be single so you'd all be single together. Well, mission accomplished. Vanessa tried one last approach. What if she promises to cut contact with us? What if she changes? What if you'd given her advice that helped her marriage instead of destroyed it? What if you'd encouraged communication instead of rebellion? What if you'd acted like actual friends? They left without another word. Through the window, I watched them arguing with each other before they even reached their cars. Wednesday, her sister called. I'd always liked Jennifer. She was smart, level-headed, nothing like the chaos surrounding my wife lately. She's staying with me, Jennifer said. She won't eat. She can't stop crying. I need to understand what happened. I told her everything. The late nights, Derek, the toxic friends, the hotel charge, the weekend, the phone call from the stranger. Jennifer was quiet for a long moment. I told her those women were bad news. She didn't listen. She never does. She gets an idea in her head, and Jennifer sighed. Look, I'm not going to ask you to reconsider. I can see why you're doing this. But she's my sister. I have to try. I understand. She realizes she destroyed this. She knows. Good. Knowing has consequences is the first step toward not repeating mistakes. Is there any chance? No. Thursday, my wife showed up at my office. Security called first. Should we let her up? The guard asked. Yes. She walked in looking like she hadn't slept in days. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, no makeup, eyes red and swollen. The professional polish she'd maintained so carefully was completely gone. I fired them, she said, not sitting down. All three. Blocked them everywhere. Told them they were toxic and I never want to see them again. Good for you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know I messed up. But we can fix this. Please. I leaned back in my chair. We can't fix anything. Why not? Because you didn't just mess up with me. You messed up who you are as a person. You let strangers convince you that loyalty was oppression, that boundaries were control, that marriage was prison. That's not a mistake. That's a character failure. I was confused. They made it sound like. They didn't make you do anything. They gave you permission to do what you wanted to do anyway. The only difference is you have to own it now. She sank into the chair across from my desk. What do you want me to do? I want you to understand that actions have consequences. You can't spend weeks destroying something and then expect to fix it with apologies. But I love you. Maybe. But you love the attention from Derek more. You loved the validation from your toxic friends more. You loved feeling free more. And I refused to compete with any of that. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. You checked out of this marriage weeks ago. The weekend just made it obvious. She left the same way she came in. Alone, broken, and finally understanding that some choices can't be undone. 2 months later, I was at a coffee shop near my new apartment when I saw her. She was with Jennifer, and she looked smaller somehow, like grief had physically diminished her. Our eyes met. She said something to Jennifer and walked over. Can we talk? She asked. We are talking. I mean really talk. I gestured to the empty chair. She sat carefully, like she was afraid sudden movement might scare me away. I've been in therapy, she said. Twice a week. Trying to understand how I let it get so bad. That's good. My therapist says I have codependency issues. That I was seeking external validation because I felt insecure about my career, and those women exploited that. That tracks. She also said I sabotaged the one good thing in my life because I was afraid of being happy. Like I didn't deserve it. I didn't respond. I know you've moved on, she continued. Jennifer told me you're dating someone. I was. Her name was Allison. She was a teacher, and she communicated like a normal adult. It was refreshing. I'm not here to ask for another chance. My wife, ex-wife, technically, as of 3 weeks ago, continued. I know that ship sailed. I just wanted to tell you that you were right. About everything. Okay. Vanessa is getting divorced again. Brittany lost custody of her kids. Rachel got fired for sexual harassment. Everything you said would happen, happened. Consequences tend to work that way. I lost the best thing that ever happened to me because I listened to people who couldn't keep their own lives together. She started crying then, quietly. I was so stupid. Yes, I said. Not cruelly, just factually. You were. Do you hate me? I thought about it. Really thought about it. No, I don't hate you. But I don't respect you either. And I can't love someone I don't respect. Could you ever respect me again? That's not my job anymore. That's yours. You need to figure out who you want to be and become that person. For yourself, not for me. She wiped her eyes with a napkin. You look happy. I am happy. I'm glad. You deserve to be. So do you. But you have to do the work to get there. She stood up. Thank you for talking to me. Take care of yourself. She walked back to Jennifer, and they left together. I watched them go, feeling nothing but a distant sadness for who she used to be before she let the wrong people convince her that independence meant destroying everything good in her life. My phone buzzed. Text from Allison. Still on for dinner tonight? I smiled. Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Her girls' weekend had been everything she hoped for: freedom, validation, excitement. Coming home had been everything she feared: consequences, loss, regret. She'd wanted to discover who she was without her husband's influence. Mission accomplished. She found out she was someone who could be easily manipulated, someone who valued strangers' approval over her spouse's love, someone who would destroy a good thing to feel temporarily free. And I found out I was someone who wouldn't tolerate disrespect, someone who knew when to walk away, someone who understood that loving someone sometimes means letting them experience the full weight of their choices. She got exactly what she asked for. So did I. The difference was, I thought mine through first.
Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.